This is a continuation video of the tutorial video in the Articulator module. So we have finished placing the condyles according to facial photographs, and I would like to animate this specific lower jaw. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the constraints and set open centric. This will place an arrow in the center of the workspace. Now the condyle is going to pivot along this arrow. Note that if you lose the selection, we will need to reselect this arrow because the lower model is parented to this specific object. Let us open up the timeline. You'll notice that a keyframe has been set. So if you select anything else, this keyframe disappears because the object has not been selected. Make sure you select it. All the animations work according to these objects. Then it prompts us to enter an angle in the rotation X field. So you'll see the rotation X field is only one with it being unlocked. Please do not put any values in these other fields where there's locks. So here we can use the slider, or we can use the arrows, or we can enter value. If I enter value, say 2.5 degrees, that will open up my incisal pin. Times 2 would be 5 millimeters open on an articulator. So this is 0, 2, 4, 5. If I put in 3, it will open up 6 millimeters, 2, 4, 6 millimeters. So let's open up this up 2.5 millimeters. And if you would like to make a splint, for example, you need to make sure that you've got enough space between the molars. This is critical, else the material would be too thin. Now we can measure this distance quite easily by going to the next menu. At the bottom we have a thickness map. So if I select the top model and then I create a thickness map with a dropper, I will then see that this red zone is 2 millimeters away from the model. I can measure it more precisely by sliding this specific value. So if I want to see where the red starts, we will know that this is 1.2 millimeters away from the model. This is a good indication of how far to open up when making a splint or something when you're opening up the bite. Exit weight paint mode. So again, what we want to do is we want to fix this position, select the object in the constraints, apply the keyframe. This will apply orange dots along number 5. This means that this specific location has been set. Let us move to the protrusive. An arrow will appear which we can move down. At any stage we can hide these pictures so that they are out of the way. So in order to hide that, we go to the Facebow and we can then hide the photos. So here, for example, we've moved the arrow downwards and we can bring it to the edge if we'd like to. But we can notice that the meshes, the teeth, are actually intersecting. What we can do is we can open up this bite a little bit by the rotation X. Do not set any of these values where the lock is on, only the rotation X, like that. And then apply the keyframe. We shall move to the right excursive movement, and then we will move the jaw to the side using the Z slider. If you do get lost, it says negative angle in the rotation Z field. Okay, and we're going to open up the bite a little bit. Note that we can put a Bennett side shift by keying in a negative value, Bennett negative value in location X. So let's put a -1. Note how we can get the wear facets pretty well arranged. So the wear facets are pretty spot on. And we're going to apply this. Let's move to the other side. Move the slider along. Open it a bit. Put a number 1 in the Bennett side shift. And let's see whether we've got the wear facets on this side, which we have a good group function. Perhaps opening it up a little bit, like that. And then apply the keyframe. Our lower jaw is completely animated. If we go to the navigation, we can then play this animation. View protrusive, and then we can view it from the right or the left side or from the front side. View the other side, the left excursive movements, and the right, open it up. So we can play with these. The speed can be adjusted over here. So if we put like 10, for example, it will move faster. If we put a number 2 in there, it will make it slower. Now we can become a little bit more precise to add more keyframes within this section if we like. We can do this by going into a cross section and then setting keyframes. For instance, if we go into the protrusive mode and then we play it back to number 1 or number 2, and in cross section using Alt B, we will then see that these meshes may intersect a little bit over here. We can change the intersection by changing the rotation X by opening it up a little bit like that, and then apply. Note now how the model will move and across like that. And we can place more if we'd like to. Alt B to get out of that. So let's see how this views in with our photos. There's a shortcut key, Control X, on your keyboard, which will then bring up the articulator. And we can play through these animations. And this completes the video. So if at any stage you would like to change something within the constraints, simply go back to the constraints and then we can edit these constraints. So let us click Ctrl X, stop this. We can look at stop the animation, view the opening. If we'd like to change anything, we will then, because we are in the open byte, you can see this over here, open byte, we can go and edit this. So when we edit this, we can then change these values and apply keyframe. And that's all we need to do in the editing. If you'd like to delete one of these, we can delete the open byte and then we can make a new open byte if we'd like to, and apply keyframe. And this completes the video for this.